community. And community because we are a network, and we believe that by going together, we'll be able to go together and to help women to go within the insurance space, especially when it comes to their leadership capabilities. And we have our supporting pillars as leadership, networking, and impact. I'm sure we've all seen this as we went through the startup path, but this is just an introduction, so I'm to just go through it very fast. The purpose of this orientation is really to provide all our new directors. Essentially, we are all new directors because we all haven't had any orientation yet, with the essential information and guidance and clarity about their roles and responsibilities. Because I'm sure that people who are on board now who are wondering, okay, after I said yes, what's next? And today we get to know the what's next, and then also understand what really Africa is about, our mission, our goals, our objectives, so that as we are planning for our regions or for the countries that we've been assigned to, we let it fit into the broader mission of really Africa. Another thing is to make sure that all of the directors, you have a clear understanding on how you can contribute to the network success in empowering and elevating women within the insurance industry. And we'll also give an overview of the vision, the values, any events or programs or projects that we have ongoing. We can talk about which other ones we can bring on board, collaboration opportunities or partnership opportunities, either that we have ongoing now or that we can bring on board within the different regions and countries. And then generally to just equip all the directors with the knowledge and the tools that you need to make informed decisions and foster a sense of community within the chapter that has been assigned to you. Because right now we are all going to lead the different places that we've been assigned. So we have to be able to bring people together and to drive the mission of really Africa. So our vision as please, when it comes to this, if you think it's not too refined, we can also give suggestions within the chat box, or maybe you can, after this, I'll stop, and then if there are any suggestions, we can mute and refine the vision. But right now, all we have is to empower and support the advancement of female leaders in the insurance industry in Africa. So if we have any comments, you can add it, and then refine the vision, because this is basically why we are here today, to make sure that we have a strategy for the next, for the rest of our relationship as directors of really Africa. And then our mission is to provide a supportive community and resources for women in the insurance industry to develop their careers and reach leadership positions. So we are all about how do we empower people? How do we make people understand that they can do it, they can get there? And why we have this mission is because we've noticed that within the insurance industry, there are no barriers to entry when it comes to gender. Anyone at all can go for an interview and get a role at the lower position, at the lower levels. But as we go up, you see that the women start falling off and there's a tapering. So at the top, it's mostly men. The commissioners are men, the board directors are men, the CEOs are men, the CFOs are men, the COOs are men. Most of the senior level roles are occupied by men. It's just sometimes HR and even on the board is normally the lawyer who's a woman, but most of the time it's men. So we're thinking that how we know women are very capable, but the thing is sometimes women don't tell their story too well, or women wait for the perfect chance. A man might apply for a job when he has maybe 70% of the skills. Women might wait till they have 100%. So if she's not taking every single box, she feels like she's not ready. So our mission is, how do we make women feel ready so that they take up leadership roles, they become team leaders, they become managers, they become senior managers, and then they finally get into those roles? Because while they are not just doing this in isolation, when women are in certain roles, there's research that shows that performance of those companies is even better, especially financial performance. And when it comes to creativity of those companies, companies that are led by women are very creative. For some reason, women, we know how to engineer our way around terrible situations. So we are able to really provide a creative outlet. And then those companies are also more mission driven. And we know that insurance is all about the protection. It's about closing the protection gap and providing relief for people when disaster occurs. So when we are working with purposeful women who care about society, you see that we'll have more creative solutions within the insurance space, and we'll be able to provide better services to serve the continent and to serve our countries. So this is why really Africa is here to support women by, first of all, giving them a group of people that they can grow their careers with, and also providing the leadership resources for them to feel confident about reaching and going for certain goals. Because sometimes when people don't get roles and you're asking, they say there was no woman. But the thing is, there are women. It's just that they are not being noticed, or they are not being given the opportunities. So we are here to help to show that these are the women. If you want someone, come here and come and take, because we have more than competent women who can serve in different capacities within the insurance industry. And our goal is to connect female professionals in the industry to provide resources and opportunities for them to rise to leadership positions within their organizations. Our lawyer was supposed to come on board after the introduction. She's supposed to come on board at 11:45, but I think the introduction took so long. So I'm going to, we'll still have to, because she is scheduled, I might have to pause this a little bit. I'll just introduce the thematic areas, and after that she'll come on board, and then we can go back to our program after that. Please, the thematic areas that we are looking for the next 3 years is climate change, microinsurance or inclusive insurance, risk management, and insurtech. And that's because those are very big conversations that we are having within the insurance space. So we're thinking that to get ahead of the curve, when we are training people in these areas, when the next generation of leaders in these areas are being sought out after, it's our women that they are going to come after, because people will have experience in insurtech, people will have experience in climate change solutions, people will have experience in inclusive insurance solutions. So this is very deliberate and strategic. And we hope that through doing this and through having a very clear focus on our thematic areas, it will help us to be able to even find programs and to be able to curate a very intentional development pathway for our women, so that they'll be able to then rise to leadership positions in these emerging areas in insurance. Because some other areas that are more traditional might be choked. But now these are very open areas that no one really has all the expertise. So if we get ahead of the curve, then our women will now be in the right positions to take over leadership roles in these particular areas. Our tagline is breaking barriers, building leaders. So we are all about breaking the barriers that women can be leaders, and we are all about building the next generation of leaders. So let me pause a little bit here, and please feel free, let's talk. Let's, if we have any comments, especially on the vision and the mission, we are here to refine it. So if anyone, we'll share the slides though, but sometimes it's good when we are all talking together, so that it's good when we are all like talking together, so that we can get the best. Because sometimes if we leave, then nothing gets done. So please, if anyone has any comments or anything, please let's bring it up. And I'll be speaking to our lawyer to bring you on board as well. Thank you. Hi, Sharon. So our lawyer is coming on board. Sharon, welcome on board. We had a brief introduction, but would like to hear from you, if possible, see your face. So if you're in a position to let us see you, please show us your face. Let's say hi to you. Okay, I think Sharon might not be in the position.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, hi, Sharon. We've missed you.
I've missed you guys more. So, my name is Sharon, and I am excited to be here for this retreat. I am the, what are we saying when introducing ourselves, Sheila?
Where you work, the role you play within Really Africa. And in your case, tell us why you've not been minding us lately. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
I work at what's the name of my company? What's the name? Intra Africa. Gosh, it's a new place. I forgot.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all.
I work at Intra Africa Insurance Company as a senior underwriter, and I am at women leadership in insurance. Sheila, I'm confused. Oh my gosh.
It's fine. Don't worry.
I'm the regional director, East Africa. I have not been on tours lately, but my good counterpart, my partner, Emma, has been representing me. I really hope to catch up and do wonders as had promised earlier. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Sharon is also the East, or is it Kenya rep for YIPS Africa? And at the last AIO, she was phenomenal in organizing all of YIPS Africa's we have lawyer Edem Yankson. Thank you, Sharon. We have lawyer Edem Yankson on board. I think I just saw her picture, her video. So lawyer Edem.
Hi, hi Sheila.
Hi.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Good morning and good afternoon to you. Actually, good morning to you because you are in Ghana.
Sure, I realize some of your other participants may be outside Ghana for the time difference.
Yes, yes. So thank you. So
Thank
to have you and to learn from you. And just the meeting is being recorded, so we want to just crave your indulgence to let us record. And because not all of us were able to make it today, and we'd like them to have the records so that they can also learn what you're going to share with us.
That's fine.
I unfortunately I didn't introduce you properly, so if you could just introduce yourself and have the pleasure of having with us.
All right. My name is Edem Yankson. I am a lawyer. I'm also a corporate governance professional. I'm also into HR. I currently run Yankson Consult, which is into corporate governance advisory services, as well as company secretarial services. So that is Edem, unless you want to know some more.
Oh, for now, it's fine. We know we are in good hands.
Thank you very much. And I must say that I appreciate the opportunity to share with your team today on corporate governance. So with your kind permission, I'd like to share my screen. And for connectivity issues, if you don't mind, if I can stop the video, if that's fine with you.
Perfect, that works.
Yeah, so I can share my video now. Sorry, share my screen.
Your screen, yes.
Yeah. All right. I hope you can all see the screen.
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So once again, very honored to be part of today's training for no, it's not a training, it's actually an orientation for WLI Africa. And I must say that I was really impressed when I went to your website. This is a very good initiative, and I pray that it does succeed across Africa, and I'm sure you'd extend globally as well. So today's training is on corporate governance, like I said. And I realize we operate within the insurance services industry, which is a heavily regulated industry across all the countries we find ourselves in. For instance, in Ghana, we are regulated by the National Insurance Commission. I know there's somebody from Kenya, and Kenya, I know, is the Insurance Regulatory Authority. Gabon also National Insurance Department, and it goes on and on and on. So basically, the space we find ourselves in is a heavily regulated one. It therefore behoves on operators within that space to ensure that they uphold good corporate governance practices, because these regulators make it a requirement that players within the space have good corporate governance practices. So what exactly is corporate governance? There's been a lot of talk about corporate governance in the past couple of years. In simple terms, it's the system of rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled. This is actually a definition by the Cadbury Committee of 1992, housed in the UK, for the Corporate Governance Institute, then called ICSA. So this is their definition. So basically, it's a system of rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed. So what it means is that it is the company that will have to determine the rules and the practices. And as much as possible, these practices must be in line with best practice and the processes by which the company is directed. And I must say that corporate governance cuts across every aspect of the organization, from the board level, from the managerial level, even in our day-to-day activities. We need to have corporate governance. And when we have good corporate governance practices, it's also a framework for better decision making, because when we have the excuse me, when we have the framework there, it helps us in our decision making. We make better decisions. It also, like I said, runs through every level of the organization, and it results in more sustainable businesses, and it assures our stakeholders that this is an institution that's serious about it is doing. Also, corporate governance promotes the organization's purpose through supporting its culture, values, ESG, and then EDI. ESG does environment, societal, and governance. And I realize that this is one of the causes that WLI Africa supports. And also for EDI is the, excuse me, equity, diversity, and inclusiveness, and which I also see that we are supporting. So in a nutshell, we need corporate governance to ensure that the institution we are affiliated with is perceived out there and also is indeed practicing the what do you call it, good corporate governance. And we do this by the structures we put in place. It also ensures that we comply with the laws and also operate in an ethical manner. It also helps us with transparency for the stakeholders and other interested parties, and also with risk management. I know there are risk professionals here, so I'll not go too much there. So with good corporate governance practices, also ensures appropriate decision making, and also ensures that controls are in place to serve the interest of all stakeholders. And who are our stakeholders? I know for WLI, some of our stakeholders are mentors, our mentees, the regulators within the space which we operate. So we serve the interests of all these people. It also provides the infrastructure to improve the quality of decisions made by managers of a business. So for example, if we have our governance structures in place as an institution, we can say that these are the caliber of people we would want to sign on as mentors. You have that in place across the globe, across the entire continent. Everybody knows that for WLI Africa, to be a mentor, these are the skill sets we are looking for. And even for our mentees, we can even go a step ahead to say that, yes, to be taken on as a mentee, there are certain criteria that you would have to meet. terms of your performance, for instance, what are your interests and all that. So in a nutshell, it also improves the quality of the business, sorry, the decisions that are made. Now, these are questions we need to ponder over. As an institution, who would we want to accept as mentors? Is it just anybody? I know we are focused on females, yes. So when I say anybody, I'm talking about the females who meet the criteria. But for our mentors, who are we looking at? Do we take time to do some due diligence on them? Or is it that any female operating within the insurance space and says, oh, I've heard about WI Africa. I am interested in signing this on. I've always wanted to be a mentor to somebody, so I am available and willing to serve as a mentor. No, we will have to sit down and have a criteria, a very strict criteria to sign on people as mentors, because at the end of the day, these mentors are going to influence the mentees they are mentoring. You don't want a situation where you sign on a mentor who has, in quotes, a questionable character. And at the end of the day, by the time the mentorship period is over, would rather have caused more havoc to the mentee than improved on his or her professional career. So we need to have laid down criteria. We also have to find out who we accept as potential partners. I know we are expanding in the sub-region, so whichever country we go to, I'm sure we will want to find out who will be willing to, who will be willing to collaborate with us. For instance, we need to set a criteria. There may be some institutions which may even be willing to come on board. Talking about sponsorship, who will we accept as potential sponsors? What kind of industries would we want to not to be associated with? For example, assuming an institution comes out that is heavily involved with, let's say, pornography, or has even been blacklisted on AML blacklist for these institutions, or even the country which they operate in, will we be willing to accept such sponsorship irrespective of the amount that they have? I would say it is a no. So as we deliberate on our activities, we need to also think about these, set a criteria. Yes, there are certain caliber of sponsorships that we will not even accept at all. Then the other question is, will some relationships result in the other party exerting inappropriate level or influence over decision-making of WLI Africa? So yes, probably say, oh, we want to collaborate with you. You're out there, somebody goes to your website, has heard about you. A lot of the reps in the respective countries have made some PR out there. So there's a lot of noise, or there's a lot of information now about WLI Africa. An institution comes on board and says that, oh, I'd like to partner you. But in partnering us, what are you coming to do? Are you now coming to tell us to change our vision? Yes, we may decide that 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line, we may want to change our vision or our mission. But if, as we speak now, that is not what we want to do, but as a partner comes and says, oh, I want to partner you, but in partnering you, I will now be responsible for all the decision making. I'm not too sure if we will be willing to do that. So before we even enter into some partnerships, we need to look at all these. And then the final one is, will the relationship result in reputational harm to WLI Africa because of, excuse me, our association with an institution? Earlier on, I mentioned, for instance, an institution that has been blacklisted for AML purposes, or even financing of terrorism. Will we want to be associated with that? No. So we have to ponder over such questions before we engage others, to ensure that we don't have reputational risk or harm caused to us because of our association with them. Yes, indeed, we may not necessarily be doing the business that they are engaging in, but once we are associated with them, it could harm our reputation. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that reputational damage is very difficult to regain, especially in the corporate world. So we should be very mindful of the associations. Now, I know we definitely will have to collaborate. We can't operate in a silo with the kind of business we are looking at, or with the kind of organization that WLI Africa is, I believe definitely there will have to be some collaborations or some relationships across areas of operation. So before we engage or manage some relationships, we need to have these principles in mind. First and foremost, recognize the risks that comes with some collaborations or relationships. And then as an institution decide, okay, this is a risk we think we can take, or this is our risk appetite is such that we would want to take such a risk. And then we should be cautious of collaborations that don't further our mission. Whatever we have set out to do, we know what it is. And therefore, if entering into a relationship with an institution is such that it will not further the mission, because our mission, as I can see, is to mentor, to create an inclusive space where members can build meaningful, long-lasting relationships, developing their leadership skills and driving positive change in the industry. If a collaboration will not further this mission, it's such that you can't even drive any change in the industry, or to the extent that the people you want to develop, you can't even develop them, then you should be cautious. And sometimes, yes, you will collaborate, but also collaborate, but operate independently. And this may sound like I'm contradicting myself, but yes, we could be collaborating, but I will still be in my space and do what I am doing. You would also be in yours, but we'll still be able to collaborate under certain circumstances or for some businesses as it may be. We should also, in our relationships, avoid unauthorized personal benefits. Avoid unauthorized personal benefits and address conflicts of interest. We know that a lot of that goes on in business or in industry. Somebody goes like, oh, if you bring me on board, I will things. We should be very ethical. We should be very, very ethical. If you are dealing with an institution and you haven't asked for it and they are rather offering it, I think your tentacles should be raised. You're trying to collaborate and immediately you are being made all kinds of offers. Our tentacles should be raised. So, and also if there'll be conflict of interest, disclose it. I think the key thing is disclosure when there is conflict of interest, very critical. If the person you're bringing on board is a relative or whatever it is, a very close friend, or you have some links to the person, I believe the key thing is disclosure and let the institution know that, okay, for this particular transaction that is going on, this relationship that is coming on board, this rep of ours in this country has some relationship with the other party, but it has been disclosed. You don't hide it and later on it is found out. So it's important that in managing our collaborations or relationships, we should address the conflicts of interest and also avoid personal benefits. And then we should aim to maintain WLI Africa's separate identity. I mentioned earlier about the fact that don't allow the other party to, so that you're not able to achieve your goals or your mission. This collaboration, we don't mind if the other institution shadows us. That's fine. But until that decision is taken as a corporate institution, any individual working within your space, you'll have to ensure that in your dealings with others, you maintain the separate identity of the institution you are representing. And then finally, the transactions should protect, or whatever collaborations you are going into, should protect WLI Africa's interests. Your first and foremost priority should be that of the institution you represent. So ask yourself, yes, because sometimes some contracts may seem too juicy. If it is too juicy, read in between the lines. If we collaborated with this person, how will it affect WLI Africa? So these are the things that you should focus on in our relationships. The next point I'll talk about is the 4 pillars of corporate governance, which is very important in our business. The 4 pillars of corporate governance, we must be guided by them. And the 4 pillars are accountability, transparency, responsibility, and risk management. I'll take each of these points one by one. So by accountability, as reps, as directors, as people representing the interest of the institution, first, you take and know that it's critical in building confidence amongst stakeholders. So whatever decisions or whatever principles apply in country A, as much as possible, we should uphold those principles in country B. And you must proactively take steps to own your decisions. Yes, if you take a decision and something goes wrong, own it, own that decision. Don't blame anybody. Don't be shying away from what has gone on. Own your own decisions. And then also you must identify the risks that are inherent in your business and then create the necessary internal control systems to mitigate them. So you must look at the risks that are inherent in your business and then you create the necessary internal controls to mitigate them. In your reporting, reporting is one area in governance that institutions that don't uphold corporate governance principles would always have a way of hiding their way out. So for example, in our reporting, let's be very honest. Report what it is. Don't report what you want the other person to hear, especially when you're operating from different countries. The other party may not necessarily be around. I know it's a virtual world now, so some of the things you can check virtually, but sometimes some reports can still be doctored. So as directors and reps, we need to be accountable in all our dealings. Reporting, I'm sure we all know the story of Enron in the early 2000s, and when they had those issues, we were told that one of the issues that we had were they were reporting very good figures and all that, but apparently those figures were being cooked. So we have to ensure that whatever figures we are reporting are correct figures. We should not be cooking our figures. The next principle is that of transparency. We must be transparent in all our dealings. We should let all the stakeholders know what there is to know. We shouldn't hide. So if there's a mentor we want to bring on board, let the mentor know that we, as an institution, these are the principles we stand for. If the mentor is not prepared to abide by our principles, we let the person go. Yes, that mentor or potential mentor may be somebody doing so well in the industry, but you engage the person and realize that this particular person has certain lifestyle that will not align with our goals as an institution. Let that mentor go. Don't say that I definitely want to bring this person, but when you have realized that this person's life, business ethics don't align with yours. So let the stakeholders know. You don't have anything to hide. And then also provide accurate information to all the stakeholders. Somebody's coming on board as a mentee. Let the mentee know, mentee, this is what we expect of you, A, B, C, D. I'm not too sure whether we will, in our engagement with the mentees in terms of their performance, do we expect them to have certain levels of performance, even for the mentors as well? What do we expect from them? Are they required to meet their mentees once a month or whatever it is? Let's lay this plain, because sometimes if we don't provide accurate information, you may get somebody on board only for the person to realize that, oh, I wasn't told, or the correct picture was not presented to me. We don't want that to happen. So we should be transparent in everything that's in all our dealings. Then fairness. Fairness is another principle we must uphold. We must treat the various stakeholders in the various categories fairly. Various stakeholders in the various categories fairly. Because our mentees, let us treat them fairly. Our mentees, let us have a rigorous process for identifying them. let us have a rigorous process whereby a mentee must not necessarily be connected to somebody who is connected to a director or a rep before he or she will be assigned or no. Once we have what it takes, or once we advertise that these are the qualities we are looking for in a mentee, the mentee comes on board. If there's any test that we do, or any test or any assignments, whatever it is, if the mentee meets it, automatically he must be considered. So we should treat everybody equally. We shouldn't have special treatment for those who probably have a relationship with some of our top officials. Then the fourth pillar is about acting responsibly. Acting responsibly. We need to conduct our business in an ethical manner. Ethics is a very key issue now in business. We must conduct our business in an ethical manner. We shouldn't have any unethical practices. I mentioned that, yes, we should identify our risks. However, we shouldn't be taking unnecessary risks, which will ultimately affect the institution negatively. So acting responsibly means, yes, conducting a business in an ethical manner, also limiting the risk that we take, not unnecessary ones. And then we should have proper supervision. Proper supervision across board. If it is headquarters that is supervising various regional bodies, we must have a clear line of responsibility. We must have a clear line of reporting. We know that, okay, at any point in time, these are the reports that I will require from the various offices. If for some reason a report has not been submitted on a deadline, for proper supervision, you need to follow up. Sometimes we get overwhelmed, and the funny thing is, once a report is expected, first month, the person delays by 1 or 2 days, nothing is said. Second month, the supervisory body or supervisor is so busy, he doesn't even notice. The second month, person delays by 3 or 4 days. The next month, now the what do you call it? The report now comes 2 weeks later. So for good corporate governance practices, we need to have proper supervision. I mentioned earlier that it's about how we run our businesses, how decisions are taken. So we need to uphold these 4 principles. So we have to be, we must be fair, we must be responsible, we must also be, accountable in our dealings. And then also we must be transparent. So these are the 4 pillars. I'll just share briefly on what is expected of us. I'll just share briefly. So Katie Taylor, the CEO of Untold Content, said that a company's vision statement reveals at the highest levels what the organization most hopes to be and achieve in the long term. So for us, our mission is to have an inclusive space where people can have or build meaningful, long-lasting relationships, and also develop their leadership skills and drive positive change in the industry. This should always be at the back of our minds in everything that we do. And I'm glad that in our vision, we also support environmental, societal, and governance. So our dealings, we must be protective of the environment. We must make the environment better than we find it. We must also make a positive impact in the society we find ourselves in, the communities in which we operate. We need to make a positive impact. And then also governance, the structure, how we run the business. I'll just speak briefly on group development, because I know, yes, we are from different backgrounds and all that, but just briefly. So basically, it's important that we have effective alignment of the reps as well as executives for our success. It's very important for our success. And in Bruce Tuckman's group development, he spoke about 5 major stages. I'll just run through. Forming is when the teams have started. We discuss our goals, our ground rules. This is how we're going to be working. Usually, we also prioritize people over the actual work. We are trying to now bond and know ourselves. At this stage, it's unlikely the team will be high or performing high at this point. Then the next stage will be the storming stage. That's after we've introduced ourselves. Conflicts may arise here. Different personalities and work styles may be exhibited, because at this point we are trying to know ourselves. That's where the work styles will come in, and we are like, is this somebody I really want to work with? I don't appreciate this person's work style. Then we move to the norming stage. The norming stage is where now we've gone past our conflicts. We now are okay. We now recognize what everybody brings to the table, and then we value each other's strengths. Now we begin to bond. At this stage, conflicts are easier to resolve because we kind of know who we are now. I know that, okay, maybe Adam doesn't like certain things, and in a meeting, this is what Adam brings to the table. Also, that probably this is what Sheila brings to the table. So at the norming stage, things get better. Then the performance stage is where now we get to know ourselves. We are confident about ourselves. We are all working towards a common goal, and performance is high. And I must say that for WLI Africa, we should work towards getting to the performance stage where we know ourselves. So we should move and ensure that we get to the performance stage. The adjourning stage will not necessarily apply to us, but this is usually when the mission is accomplished and then the team breaks up. Or probably somebody decides that, okay, I don't want to be part of this team again. But at that point, we'll have achieved or accomplished our goal. So for the group, or for WLI Africa, the key thing is we must work towards the norming stage and the performance stage. We shouldn't stay too long at the beginning stages. We need to make a conscious effort to move, and then such that our common strengths will be put together to move the institution forward. So the effective alignment of the executive is critical. We need to acknowledge the relevance of the skill set of all the executives, very important. So we'll need to agree that, or recognize that, yes, I may be strong in this area, you may also be strong in the other area, but together we put our strengths together and we achieve our goals. So we need to work towards that, acknowledging the relevance of the skill sets of all of every executive. Another important thing for me in corporate governance, which is even applicable, is about the tension. Yes, it's good to have healthy tension. We don't want a situation where there's always everybody in the room is thinking the same way. No, we need to have robust debates. We must be able to discuss difficult issues. We must have diverse perspectives. There must be discomfort, because if this doesn't happen, there's groupthink, and groupthink doesn't always work well for a group of people or an institution. There must be questioning of people. Why did you do this? All right, so in this particular country, the agreement was maybe we will approach A, B, C, D, but you went the other way. Why did you do that? You must be able to defend it, and there must be some discomfort. There must also be some energy and momentum in the room where we are meeting, when we are discussing issues. We should always just be on the same page. Everybody, not the once a decision is brought, or maybe a particular person speaks, everybody just goes yes, 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 without even thinking through, without analyzing whatever suggestion has been made. So we need to have some healthy tension. And one of the benefits of healthy tension is that it prevents groupthink. We all don't go the same way. It also encourages constructive criticism, because we know that, oh, if I criticize a decision, it will not be taken personal. If I criticize a decision, I'm even criticizing the decision because I have thought through and I have another recommendation or another suggestion which may be better in the best interest of the institution, and also sets the tone for big decisions to be questioned and conflicting viewpoints expressed. So we must work towards having some healthy tension. We should prevent groupthink. If in all our meetings it's always yes, 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 then I'm afraid there's a little problem. We should have the ability to constructively criticize, make suggestions different from what has been made by somebody else. Also, when we have healthy tension, difficult issues are resolved. It also stimulates ideas, and it also creates a shift in thinking, because when we have healthy tensions, like I said, new ideas are brought, we all brainstorm, and then if there is a need, we move from a particular direction. But before we move, we'll have thought through it, we'll have weighed other options. It also prevents passive aggressive behavior, because if you don't have the opportunity to criticize a decision that has been made, sometimes people get a bit aggressive, as in it's passive though. So we come into a meeting, one person makes a suggestion, because we don't encourage healthy discussion in the room. I will not say anything, but I will just be a bit aggressive. So we need to have a bit of the tension in our meetings or in our deliberations. So to wrap up, I must say that organizations must put structures in place to pursue good corporate governance practices. And what are some of the structures? I mentioned about reporting lines, what we report, what we look out for. Also, we should uphold the principles of accountability, transparency, responsibility, and risk management. We should be accountable. We should hold our members accountable. We should act responsibly in the best interest of the institution. We should ensure that there is minimum, conflict of interest. If there is, we should disclose it. And then we should also be cautious of the collaborations we pursue. I mentioned companies that may, for instance, be on the AML list or even be financing terrorism. You may say that, oh, we are not doing that, but once you are affiliated with them, you may also face some reputational damages. And then also we must work towards reaching the norming and performance stage, which I spoke about earlier, where we bring out our best, we respect our individual skill sets that are brought on board, and decisions that are taken in a manner whereby we are not only looking at the individual, but at the best interest, or what works best for the institution. And finally, we should encourage healthy tension in our deliberations. We should let people criticize us. We must not always be on the same page. There must be some groupthink. If in our deliberations there is no conflicting view or no alternate views are given, then I think we need to take a second look again at the way our meetings are held, or the way our deliberations are held. So in a nutshell, this is what I have for you. If there are any questions, I will take them at this time, please. Thank you very much.
Adam, thank you so much. I think this was it was fast, but it was packed. So I'm still thinking about everything. I wanted to ask about, so for Willy Africa, considering that okay, it might not necessarily be a corporate governance question, but considering that it's not a full-time thing that we are doing, and it's on a voluntary basis.
Yeah.
And most of the times women tend to have, all our directors are women, and most of us tend to have schedules that might be a bit busy. For instance, when it comes to things like reporting, meetings, I think we are still probably in the forming stage.
Okay.
And it's after this retreat, after our launch, that we will really start working in the regions. So how do we then balance corporate governance with when it's more of a volunteer thing?
Okay, all right. What I'll say is, I'm glad you said it's a volunteering thing you're doing, but it's about the commitment. Because before we agreed to be part of this vision, I'm sure we knew that we will need some amount of sacrifice on our part. Yes, we are women in the corporate world, a lot of us or a number of us may be at the peak of our career or high end, but I will say that it goes back to the commitments. So, for example, yes, probably month end, your everyday job is requiring you to give a report. For we Africa, we can decide that, okay, our reports will probably be in the, what do you call it, probably in the second week of a month or even around the 15th. That is assuming that reports in our everyday work will have to be sent by the 10th. So then we still make time for we Africa. Because yes, once we've committed to it, we need to make it work. I appreciate the fact that we may be busy. We are, what do you call it? Maybe busy. We are doing other things, but this is a passion we have decided to pursue. So we need to make time for it. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you. I think I had some on the earlier you spoke about partnerships and having a very clear okay, I think avoiding inappropriate levels of influence when it comes to partnerships. Yes. As it stands, we have a couple of programs that will be rolling out. And okay. What I was just thinking, does that mean that we have to, because for instance, when it's corporate, like in our companies, before we even share our ideas with someone, we send an NDA for them to sign before we even share, and even after there's a service level agreement and all those things. But this one, a lot of it, let's say we are looking for sponsors, do we still have to send those kind of documents? Because you want money. So if you tell someone, I'm sending you an NDA before I send you my idea, they won't even mind you. It's like you need them. And most of us are like, right now in our companies, like middle management, but the people we are going to, most of them are way older, some in their late 50s and like late, like, yes, and they are mostly like, maybe someone might be a regional MD or the head of Africa. So if you are going to tell that person, I'm going to send you an NDA before I share really Africa, then it means you don't want the money. So how do we balance that whilst also keeping our independence?
Okay, yeah, so I'm glad you indicated that. Fine. So sourcing for finance, if I'm getting you right, the individual you approach, for instance, a regional head of an institution managing, let's say Africa, East Africa, sorry, yes, usually Middle East and Africa, something like that.
Yes, yes.
I presume it is the person's organization that we are getting the sponsorship from, not personal, not from the person as an individual.
Yes, organizational sponsorship.
Great. Exactly. So for organizational sponsorship, I believe that even before we approach them, we should agree. So just a little due diligence. Yes, of course, we can't go and be asking them to sign NDAs like to a big, a very big corporate. No, but we should do our due diligence. So for instance, if we may decide that, okay, sorry, I don't want to be mentioning any industry, but let's say, let me just use this as an example. We may decide that, okay, for we Africa, our principles are such that we don't want to be involved with any company that is into gambling. Yeah. So there's no way. So with this, it is made clear to anybody who joins us, all our reps, anybody who comes on board, we don't want to be associated with any company that is into gambling. With that in mind, our reps will not even have to send a proposal or a sponsorship appeal to such companies. So I think we need to define what exactly we are, what we want to be associated with, what we will not want to be associated with, before we even approach those companies. So I think it's critical that, yes, from the word go, like you said, I'm glad you're now setting up. So with this, we'll have to think through, as an institution, are there any lines of businesses that we don't want to be associated with? If it is yes, clearly we state it out. So before we even sign on other volunteers in other regions, they know that, oh, okay, we Africa, this is what is expected of us. This is what we Africa is about. So before they even approach institutions, they know. So they won't even go and approach Ghana. So I think it's important that we set it straight so that our reps know who to approach.
Okay. And considering that we are set up, we are registered we're incorporated in Ghana.
Yeah.
But now we are going to have presence in other regions. At what point, or will it be necessary for us to incorporate in those regions, or can we run this from just because I know those things come with a lot of legal, because once you incorporate somewhere, you have to file, you have to do a lot of paperwork, and means we have to know about every jurisdiction's laws. So is it appropriate for us to then set up there, or we can just do this from Ghana for starters?
Okay.
So we are very sure of next steps.
Sure. Okay. So I think, like you said, yeah, a startup. For now, it's if I understand it right, it's an online business. As in our mentors, our mentees, all our collaborations are online.
Yes.
Sure. So I will advise we can continue as such, but I am not too sure what the laws of the respective countries are. So I will just issue a caveat here. Let us confirm what are the laws in the other countries that we have our partners as in those representing us. What are their laws? I cannot speak to say that, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't know what their laws are. So we'll have to do a little bit of research, but it's a global world now. There's a lot of transactions going on online. The key place is now in Ghana. So for starters, I will say that yes, we can still keep our online presence until such a time that the business has grown. Then we decide that, okay, we now want a physical presence in other jurisdictions. But the question I'll even ask is, we would have to ask ourselves, what do we hope to achieve by the physical presence? We'll need to find out what we hope to achieve by the physical presence. If there's that need, yes, they will have to incorporate. But if we don't need the physical presence, I would say that the online presence is still good enough. But we'll just do a little more investigation or a little more work into what the laws are in their respective jurisdictions.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
I think those are my questions. Please, the rest of the team, I was very happy when Edem touched on healthy tension, energy, and momentum, because sometimes it looks like I do too much talking. So please, let's ask our questions if we have any.
Sheila, how are you?
Very well, Sharon.
You don't do too much talking. You're just good at it.
I like that.
Sharon. Please, Sharon, would you like to ask Edem?
Sorry?
Would you like to ask Edem something?
No, I just wanted to tell you, don't
You
feel
just
bad.
wanted to.
Yeah, you can talk as much as you want. We enjoy when you talk to us and when you tell us things.
Thank you, Sharon. Because sometimes I don't know if I'm talking too much, because I do know I talk a lot. In another lifetime, I would have been a lawyer, but I got disappointed at the way. So.
It's not too late. You want to still consider?
You people, it's too much reading. Right now, at this point, I'm a bit tired. Learning is difficult.
Never mind.
Elizabeth, do you have anything?
I wanted to say thank you. And I also wanted to ask, I don't know if you touched on conflict resolutions as a corporate.
Okay, so what exactly do you want to know about conflict resolution? How you should manage conflict? Hello, am I losing? Hello.
Hello, Sharon. I think her question was actually, I'm sure she's asking how to manage conflicts.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Sure. So within the corporate space, definitely there will be conflict. I think the first and foremost thing you have to do is acknowledge and accept that there is conflict. You shouldn't sweep it under the carpet. First and foremost, let's acknowledge when there is conflict. So for instance, if you realize that you're having an issue with another member of the group, two things. If you are able to approach the person, do so and talk about it. If you think that you are not able to do that, you can seek the help of a third party within the group as much as possible. So I would say that, like you said, there's a group of volunteers. So I don't want to say it should be Sheila again, but whoever the leader of the group is. So let's assume that as the company grows, whichever area you find yourself, there are 3 of you in that space now, and there is an issue. If on your own, you can approach the person, do. But if you cannot, and it is still affecting the relationship, then involve a third party, but it should be a third party who is also within the group, as the space as much as possible. You don't want a situation where you go consult somebody else and who is not part of this group, who doesn't share your vision, and then realize your issues are out there. And the other thing I'll say is, once you realize that an issue has cropped up and it is affecting the relationship, it must be dealt with. Sometimes some people don't like to deal with issues. It's like, oh, I don't like confrontation. But you don't like confrontation, but you're not really relating well to the other party. When because there's some kind of tension, you don't relate well to the other party. It may even affect the way or the conduct of your meeting. So yes, acknowledge that there's a problem. And 2, if the problem is affecting the relationship, please deal with it. If you cannot approach the person, get a third party, a matured third party at that. And I would say as much as possible, it should be within the space. But if for some reason the third party within the space is not able to address it, I would advise, yes, contact another person within the space. So let's say, since we operate in regions, let's assume that the issue is in let's say the issue is in Ghana. 3 of us, we are trying to resolve, we can't get it. We have a rep, or the most senior rep is in, let's say, Guinea. Yes, so Ghana, we are not able to do it. We approach Guinea. Guinea, please help me. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Please, do we have any other questions, comments, suggestions, anything to add?
Umeniambia kuna token.
Please, do we have any comments? Happy, Elizabeth, Jessie? Okay, thank you very much. I think we spent almost an hour on this, and Lawyer Adam, thank you so much for this very insightful presentation and discussion. I've learned a lot. I never even knew the stages of group development. So as you were saying it, I was like, wow, we are only at the first stage. We have a long way to go. But it was good that we know this now, because if we had already formed all our, like if we had done this later, then it means that at that point we'll have to be correcting a lot of things that we got wrong. Also, when you spoke about the pillars of corporate governance, about collaboration, and most importantly about healthy tension, because I think a lot of times we tend not to want to address difficult situations. So we always sweep it under the carpet, and it ends up festering into something bigger than it would have if we had addressed it. So I'm happy that you spoke about the importance of having diverse views and even questioning certain things that are being done and having very robust debate, because it's important that we all know that our perspectives and our views matter. And even if the head of the region or the country or whoever doesn't agree, we also have to bring forth our views. So thank you so much for this important and very, how do I even say it? Basically, insightful presentation, and for giving us your time on a weekend. Yeah, we are very grateful. I think maybe I should also show my face as I appreciate you.
That's fine. Yeah, Sheila, I really appreciate this opportunity, and I'm ready for any other engagements in future. And I wish we Africa all the best. This is a very good initiative, and I pray that this indeed succeeds. So have a very good afternoon and the rest of your deliberations for the day. So I will take my leave. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much, Lawyer
Thanks.
Eden.
Thanks so much.
Sheila,
Bye-bye.
please, will we get the slides?
Yes, please.
Ah,
I'll share it with Sheila, please. I will. I'll share it with
Okay,
Sheila.
all right.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much.
Thanks too, and enjoy the rest of the session.
All right.
Bye.
thank you. Okay, bye. So coming back to where we left off from, we have another presentation at once. That means we have just about 16 minutes to go back to our slides and try to put in somewhere. But after that presentation is on strategy and goal setting, and it also falls into what we are trying to do. So we'll just, I'll just continue with the slides if that's fine with everyone. And we can always come back to our own slides. So at 12, we'll be having Dr. Ochefimpom join us for the next training session. Okay, so as I was talking about earlier, let me stop the video so that we have better service. So our thematic areas are climate change, microinsurance or inclusive insurance, risk management, and insurtech. And our tagline is breaking barriers, building leaders. I think I spoke extensively about this, so we'll move to the next. So generally, I wanted to talk about the role and responsibilities of everyone as a director and how it will fit into everything that we are doing. I'll just talk about maybe the first few, and then if we have to, we can always move on. No, actually 15 minutes should be enough for us to talk about this. So the first role that we'll be looking at is strategic planning. So as directors, we know our regions best and we know our countries best. And I think every director is going to be very influential in planning and developing plans for specific to their geographic areas and also to the bigger Willy Africa picture. Because assuming you are in, let me use Sharon as an example. Sharon is in charge of the Eastern Africa, but Sharon is also very influential when it comes to, let's say, driving strategy, the overall strategy, because obviously we know that the Kenyan market is a very, very big market within Africa, and a lot of conferences happen there, a lot of programs happen there. And because the Kenyan market is also a bit ahead of the curve, other regions, when it comes to insurtech and when it comes to inclusive insurance, parametric insurance, she can even drive the overall direction when it comes to what really Africa wants to do across Africa. So as director, directors, your role will not just be for your specific region, which you have expert knowledge in, but then the overall strategy of Willy Africa is also going to be driven by the directors. Another thing that we expect directors, responsibility of directors is leadership, because every director is a leader in their region or in their country. So if you are a director, that means that you are going to be setting an example for all the other members within your region. We'll share the membership information after or in the course of this program. You are also going to be even inspiring others, because assuming someone sees you on LinkedIn and you've posted something, they just get inspired because they're like, oh, wow, this person is doing this, and they're even leading the conversation when it comes to women empowerment. So every director is a role model to other people. And you're also going to be fostering a sense of unity and purpose amongst the members, because as you're a director, you are in charge of the region, you are in charge of the country. So you decide how to bring people together when it comes to even uniting them towards a common cause. If it's maybe a webinar that you are having, it's up to the director to really drive it. Obviously, everyone is going to help. If you're having a webinar in, let's say, Cameroon, every member I know is going to share it across their network. But then that director is going to be the leader of it, organizing and bringing people on board for all of us to even come on board and support. And then driving a sense of purpose amongst the members in the country, because people have signed up from different regions. And as it stands, it's up to the director to let them feel that they are part of a community of women and they are part of a community of people who care about their leadership development. So that's it for the leadership part of the directors. When it comes to member engagement as well, the directors are expected to engage actively with network members, to roll on board new members, to speak to roll on board mentors, even partners. So there's going to be a lot of coordination from the directors. You are going to be facilitating communication, encouraging participation of your members, and ensuring that the members are feeling connected to the network, because it's all about members feeling the value that Willy Africa is going to give them and give their careers. And also understanding the members' needs, their aspirations, their concerns, and like helping them to go through it through using Willy Africa. And with that feedback, we can also use it to even strengthen our programs and plan better for the future of the network. Another thing that directors will be doing is collaboration. So collaboration across regions, across countries, connecting with different members across the region, sharing best practices. So for instance, if Southern Africa, Yara is doing something that is very nice, we as West Africa can say, oh wow, why don't we collaborate with her and see how she's managed to maybe get 1,000 members within 3 months who are all very engaging. So as directors, we are going to be collaborating across each other. We already do that very well. We've even formed committees, and I know that everyone is willing and happy to have on board other people that we are working with. And so so far, it looks like we are still in the forming stage. So there hasn't been any conflict, but then basically we encourage all directors to be very collaborative, to promote cross-border partnerships and to enhance our impact wherever we find ourselves. Another thing that responsibility of directors is partnerships. So when it comes to partnerships, seeking partnerships with local organizations, with other insurance agencies within your country, with insurance companies within your country or region, and even industry bodies, so that we can expand our reach and we can also expand our resources. So for instance, when it comes to partnerships with industry bodies, almost every country has a chartered women's institute or an institution, a body already that's meant for women. So our work here is not to go and take over what they are doing, but to collaborate with them. So we can write to them within the region and say that this is what we are about and would like to work with them on certain programs. And we even tell them that maybe this is our mentorship program and we have an invitation for mentors. And this is the criteria. So if they have anyone within their network who wants to become a mentor, we are willing to bring the person on board. So with that kind of partnerships, we can work and won't be seen as a threat. We actually have a very good partnership with YIPS, and some of you are even directors of YIPS. So all those collaborations will still be ongoing. We'll see how we can work together for the benefit of all women across Africa when it comes to insurance. And then another thing is reporting. Adam touched on this a little bit, and I would like to reiterate that when it comes to reporting, it's very important to all of us as directors to at least have a feedback where we can come and say that maybe for this month or for this, actually it will be monthly reporting, but then just let everyone across the network have a fair idea of what we've been doing over the month, so that if we can support or we can offer our assistance in any way, we can do that. And also it helps us to be able to track our progress, because if membership is growing, if mentors are growing, if there are any challenges, if there are any achievements within your country or region, if there's any updates to the leadership within the region, it helps us to know what's happening, because as directors, you will be the ones really in charge and the ones who know what is going on the ground. Also, once we are reporting, we are encouraging transparency, we are encouraging accountability and alignment of our overall goals, so that once someone is reporting something in a certain region or country, we know that, okay, we are aligning our vision and we are not going outside what our mandate is. So that's it about reporting. Another one is representation. So you can represent really Africa in your region, whether it's local industry events, whether it's conferences, any other relevant platforms, assuming it's a Zoom link that you've been asked to go and speak at. We are very happy for you to represent the views of really Africa whilst going to speak at a webinar or attending a conference or at any local events that might be going on. This is to help to promote our mission, to raise our profile. It always also helps us to advocate for gender diversity and empowerment in the insurance industry, and even to amplify your own profile. So please, those of you who have not been sharing, you are a director, it's a very big deal and it's a big role, and the mission is also a very important mission. So please just share. You've done a good job. Let's amplify our own profiles and the roles that we are playing within really Africa. Another thing that directors will be doing is supporting and mentorship. So our first program, the fellowship, we want to use it for ourselves. So we will be the fellows, the first fellows. And through that, we'll learn a lot. We even learn project management, how to mentor. And through that, we are also hoping that we give it back to others by mentoring them and supporting them and helping other people to also have a great and conducive environment for their professional and personal growth. Directors also be involved in advocacy. This network is all about changing the narrative when it comes to women leadership within the insurance space and hopefully the broader financial services space. So we are all advocates in our roles as directors, and we'll be advocating for policy changes, for certain initiatives, and through our reforms that we might bring on board. Because if we are able to have a pipeline of women even who can be called for certain roles, that means that we've played our advocacy role very well. Another thing that we are going to be advocating for is gender diversity and gender inclusion. Most of the time, sometimes some people say that this gender thing, we've been talking about it for years, and women have equal opportunity. So why are we acting like it's a big deal? But actually, there's still a gender gap. There's a gap when it comes to pay. There's a gap when it comes to leadership. And that gap, if you read UN reports, is going to take more than 100 years to close. So as Really Africa, we are going to do our little part to help close that gap. But as directors, we are advocates. And whatever little thing we share, whatever research we take part in, whatever activities we organize within our regions are going to go a long way to help advocate for female participation in leadership in the insurance space. And so these are the roles of and responsibilities of directors. We hope that everyone will be empowered enough to be able to drive the mission forward at the local level or at the regional level, and to be able to ensure that the impact of the network is felt within the region and across Africa and within the insurance industry. So I'll pause here. I think we can speak to maybe there's something that you think is important that we haven't added as one of the roles of directors, please. We are happy to hear about it. If there's anything that we missed that you think is an important role that directors will be playing, please bring it on board, or any responsibility that we didn't add. Kindly share that with us. You can share in the comment space, or you can also unmute and speak, or you can even show us with your picture. We want to see everyone's face. Amma, please, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Sheila, for the.
What is expected of each of us? For
Hello?
the
Two people are
director's role.
speaking. Hello? Okay, so Amma,
Hello?
please go ahead, and Happy can speak after that.
All right, that's fine. So I was saying, I think the roles for the directors are well defined. Clearly, we know what is expected of us. The parts where collaborations are needed, where we have to do more advertising for others to see what we are doing, where we have to represent the country in which we find ourselves and all. So I think it's in line. I don't have any question yet. So far it's in line. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you think we should share it, the documents as well, like clearly elaborated, so that it's not just points, but it actually breaks it down for everyone?
Oh, Sheila, why not? I mean, it's good. Give it to us how you want to give it to us. I think it's good. If it's well elaborated, then there's no bone of contention. There's no issue of, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. Clearly defined means we all know what is expected of us. So I think we should.
Okay.
If that won't be too much of work for you.
Oh, no, it's fine. We've
All
all
right,
signed
then
up
it's
for
okay.
this, so.
It's okay, but I like your passion, Charlie. I like your passion. Yeah, I wish I can be like 15% of what you are doing. Hey.
I mean, you know, your special role. Your own is the marketing. I can't wait for you to start bringing people on board.
They'll come fully. They'll come fully.
Thank you,
All right.
Amma.
Welcome, Sheila.
Happy wanted to speak. Happy, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there, Sheila. Thank you for the presentation. I was thinking about the legal part. Is it with all the representative? Do we have to do the legal part? It in our region, like do the registration of the association and all that stuff things, or we should just continue with online stuff and all?
Okay, so Happy, as it stands for now, we wouldn't need to register legally in the countries, but then you can also, since we all know our regions best, we can also advise whether there's actually for specific regions, there's actually a mandate. It's actually mandatory for us to register. But as it stands, most of what we do will be online, and as and when we maybe grow the following in a certain region, or the network in a certain region and we see that it's become necessary for us, then we can think about registration and all. But registration normally comes with a lot of paperwork and a lot of legal and sometimes with financial implications.
Yeah.
So as currently, I think we could just stabilize it, although still have everyone playing their director roles and we'll have a corporate governance setup.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. I think the same. I think it's better.
Okay, but please on that too, I think the lawyer spoke about it, but if there's anyone who has any comments on that, our resource person unfortunately was in the other call, so he's switching to this one. So I think he will join us soon.
But Sheila, is it registered in Ghana already or?
Yes, so it's registered in Ghana as a not-for-profit organization. It was, I think we started this process last year, but we finally got to our papers sometime in March or April. I was on paper where myself, Etta, and then Jesse. So we were the directors on paper. But I think I will share the registration mandate, what it was registered as. It was a non-for-profit in Ghana.
Okay.
We have Dr. William on board now. Like I was saying, unfortunately, I didn't send the second link to him early enough. So he was in the other call. He was in the other, he was in the Teams, he used the Teams link. So now we have him on board and welcome. Welcome, Doc. You're muted, so we can't hear you, unfortunately.
Hello,
Okay,
hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Good. Thanks for having me. Good
We should be saying thank you for accepting to talk to us on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon. I think they are muted, so I'll be the Ochiami to say good afternoon on everyone's behalf.
Right. Sure. So when you are.
Okay, so I'm actually trying to look for your profile. Unfortunately, I can't quite find it. So please, would you like to do a brief introduction?
All right. Let me just say that for purposes of this meeting, I am Sheila's coach. Generally, I practice as a medical doctor. I manage a health facility here in Accra, Ghana. But I have been a leadership enthusiast for over a decade. I've developed capacity in that regard, helping emerging leaders and established professionals through an organization I run called the RubaMed Consult. And I guess we'll stick with that for now so that we can save time. But we are sharing.
Share your profile though, so we know all the other big things.
Well, we thank God for his diverse grace.
So Doc, please, we are ready for you and for the presentation.
Good. Am I able to share my screen?
Yes.
Since the number is not large, can I just know who else is on the call and where they are joining from?
Hi, Doc.
Hello.
My name is Sharon, joining from Kenya. Hello from Kenya.
All right. All the way from East Africa.
Yes, from East Africa.
Good, good. Good to have you. Nice meeting you, Sharon.
Nice meeting you too. Looking forward to the discussion.
Same here, same here. Who is going after Sharon?
Okay, I'll take it. My name is Apinoela, joining from Cameroon. Yeah, looking for help.
Great.
Forward to hear from you.
Great, great. Noella from Cameroon.
Okay, hi, Doc. Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth. I'm joining from Nigeria.
Oh, our neighbors. Good having you. There is 4 more to go.
Isabel Ama.
Isabella, ma. Hey, we have some gents amongst us.
He's our
Doctor, good to
administrator.
see you.
Hello?
Yes, Amma.
Doctor, good to see you. I'm Amma, and I'm your fellow from Ghana.
Okay. Just around here.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
Hi, Doc.
Isabel. Hi. Who is
I'm
on?
Jessie from
Jessie.
Ghana as well.
Okay. Nice meeting you, Jessie.
Nice meeting you.
And Isabel. Richmond.
Hi, Doc. I'm Richmond from Ghana as well.
Cool. Good to meet you. I guess I'll meet Isabel after the presentation then.
Yes, and some people left, but I'm sure they will join again. So maybe after the presentation, we'll have a few more people.
All right, good. So I hope you can see my screen.
It's a bit blurred.
Better?
On my end, not too much, but maybe it's my internet. Richmond, can you confirm if it's fine from your end?
It's quite blurry, but for time purposes, I think maybe we can start and maybe it can get better.
All right. Okay. Not sure why that is, but let's see if it gets better. So we're looking at goal setting and strategic planning, and congratulations to all of you for joining this movement, the Women Leadership Insurance Africa. I hope that so far you've had very fruitful deliberations, and I am happy to make a contribution to enrich the discussions that you are having. Strategic planning, goal setting, it's very vital for any organization. I recall that some years ago, the CEO of Nokia, they did a press conference and he said, we did everything right, but we lost. And it was a very seminal statement in understanding the power of strategic planning. You can do what you believe is right in the moment, but without looking at the strategic positioning and advantage, other players would overtake you and perhaps even take over your brand. So let's welcome to the journey. I am looking forward to your questions, comments, observations as we go along. So if you have any that you can put in the chat box, I'll be happy to share and for all of us to reflect on it. The structure is, we'll look
Just
at it.
interrupting you a little. The video, it's very choppy, so we are having a hard time hearing you. So if maybe you can turn off the video, I think the voice quality would get better.
Okay. Is this any better? Hello, Sheila. Is this any better? Hello, Sheila.
Yeah, okay. Okay, it's better now. It's better now.
All right. So we'll look at an introduction and then look at the principles for goal setting, the practice of strategic planning, and then we'll conclude. I begin with this quote that has become my favorite anytime I'm looking at anything relating to goal setting or strategic planning. It's a quote by Bishop Titi Ofefe. He says that there are 3 moments of execution. Every organization exists in a moment of 3 spaces. There's 1, those who are doing yesterday's things today. And there's 2, those who are doing today's things today. And the 3rd are those who are doing tomorrow's things today. Now, if you're an organization, where would you want to be? I'm sure that all of us would want to be at number 3, those who are doing tomorrow's things today. But it just goes beyond just wishing to developing a plan that enables you keep up with the times. I said in the initial, before I began the slides, that there are several companies that have collapsed many years ago. We can think of popular brands like Kodak. Kodak was very popular for dark film cameras. And then also, even more recently, companies like Nokia, which have been taken over, etc. And particularly for Nokia, when the CEO was closing down, he held a press conference. He met with his team and said, "We did everything right, yet we lost." So in leadership, you also need a benefit of a scale called strategic planning. If you are doing in business and you are doing yesterday's things today, you know that you are lost. If you haven't wired your business to go digital, you are really living in a stone age. You may be achieving some success, but this would not be able to stand the test of time. Any business that exists today that is going to be around and relevant tomorrow needs to really be catching up with what is happening today, which is that today every business has some digital presence or digital facilitation, either by means of payment or advertisement or even stock and storage, etc. So when you are doing today's things today, you need also to have a presence of mind to ask yourself, where is this business going tomorrow? And we'll be engaging in quite a bit of that as we reflect today. What is goal setting? I would say it's a practice of making dreams a reality through a conscious approach of planning, implementation, and evaluation. Most times people set goals, they stop at planning. I dare say that is a dream or a wish. I wish my goal is, my dream is that I will become this. And yet there's a dissonance between the dream and the actions. Anytime there's a wide disconnect between your goal and your actions, you have to do, you have an option to do one of 2 things. Either you change the dream or you change the action, because you cannot have a dream or a goal that is headed left and actions that are headed right for them to achieve a certain congruence. It won't happen. So plan, implement, and evaluate. This is a beautiful statement on how to turn goals into actions. It says a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and a plan backed by actions makes your dream a reality. What is it that you are desiring today for this organization? What is that big dream, that big, hairy, audacious goal for the next 5 years? What do you see Woolly Africa as? And the activity of moving that dream into reality is what we are contemplating this afternoon. What are some of the considerations for making goals? Because there are several goals that everyone can set. There's not every goal that you should be pursuing. There's such a thing as societal pressure that forces people to pursue life goals that do not belong to them. It's almost like, you know, finding a ladder and simply climbing it and getting to the top of the hill and asking yourself, why am I here? That's what happens when you live your life without making your own goals, because without them, you become captive to the goals of others. So if your organization is going to thrive, you'd have to begin right. You'd have to understand why you exist, what your purpose is, and set goals to meet them. So when you're setting goals, what would be some of the considerations that are key? I also recognize that that all of you are career professionals, and so I may be making stretching the application to your own career pursuits beyond just building Woolly Africa as a dream. So what is the considerations for goal setting? I share 5 of them with you, labeled all of them P's for easy recall. The first is, what is required of me? It's a question of purpose. Particularly for gifted people, you always need to ask yourself this, because there are several things that you could be doing, but it's not all of them are required of you. So what is required of me? A question of purpose. Then 2, period. When is it expected? What is required? When is it expected? And 3 is a question of productivity. What gives me the greatest result? There are several things that you could focus on as an organization. But what is it that all of you doing collectively together can achieve the greatest results? That answers the question of productivity. So in your ranking, you strike some things off because you realize that although you can do it, you are not the best suited to deliver the best results or the greatest results with it. And 4th, what is the greatest prize? What gives me the greatest reward? It's a question of prize. What do you stand to gain at the end of accomplishing this? And of course, with everything that every undertaking is a risk. The team here is into insurance, so you understand risk management better than I do. What will be the cost and what will be lost in pursuing the goals that you are setting? I would move on to introduce you to certain types of goals. Can I get some confirmation if the sound is okay and if the screen is also in your view?
The sound is okay, but the screen is still loading.
It's still loading.
Yes. Okay, I think now it's loaded.
Okay. All right. So what has what are the types of goals that we can set? There is the process goals, which is really about specific actions. Example, run an advert daily. So that is a process goal. It describes a goal about the specific action. I'm going to run an advert on Woolly Africa's incoming program daily. It's a process goal. Then there's a performance goal, which is about a standard that has been set. We are looking to achieve 10 active country presence. So by the end of a certain period, we want to be in 10 countries, having representatives in 10 countries. So that becomes a performance goal. And then there's also a product goal, which is really an outcome, the outcome we are envisaging. That, for instance, for Woolly Africa, we'll say we want to be a preferred women leadership development not-for-profit in Africa. So if anyone is looking for a women leadership development not-for-profit, they should, if they think about 3 names, WILI Africa should come in as one of those that they think about. And that will be an outcome kind of goal. So every goal that you are setting would be in one of these categories, to be a goal about a process, a goal about performance target, a goal about a product or an outcome. This you're very familiar with in your management or business classes. Setting effective goals. We have been told to make them SMART: S for specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. We'll flesh them out in just the next slides. For a goal to be specific, I like to think about it as the goal has clarity. Stellar goals are crystal clear and well-defined. They act as a magnet, focusing your attention along your career journey. So for example, if you say that I want to work for a consulting firm with offices in more than 50 countries, that's a very specific goal. So I want, or we want, WILI Africa to have presence in all African states. That becomes a very clear, specific goal. Then number 2, for measurable. And this is about quantity. Every goal must have a quantifiable means by which it can be tracked. So we say that goals that contain specific numbers or dates that you can keep, that can keep you on track as a way of measuring. Example, as you say, I will join 3 industry-related LinkedIn groups and add at least 1 comment a week. For those of you in insurance, you look out for those in marketing, those in finance, those in project management. Look out for professional groups where you can do some learning. So if you're looking at a goal for WILI Africa, you are possibly thinking, how do we quantify? You must be thinking, how do we quantify this goal? How do we put a number to it so that if we are attaining it, we know. If we are not attaining it, we know. Then attainable. Attainable speaks about reality, that the goal is realistic. The realistic yet challenging goal. So we say your goals must be far enough to be inspiring, but close enough to be realistic. If you set a goal that you know you cannot attain, let's say, for instance, this, you make an annual income of $10,000 US. That's your annual income. If you set a goal that you're going to save at the end of the year $10,000, that really is not an attainable goal, because you have expenditure to meet. And so if your total income is really 10,000, then you cannot save 10,000 at the end of the year. Your savings will certainly be lower than that. So that is not an attainable goal. And sometimes the challenge that most people have is that they set goals that are not realistic, they are not attainable. And in their subconscious mind, they tell themselves that, oh, I know this is impossible. And so if I don't achieve it, there's no problem. And that is the beginning of the fall. Once your mind tells you that this is not meant to be done, you will not achieve it. Relevant is the weight or the gravity of the goal. Relevant goals align with the direction of your company or how you want your the way you want your life to take. I want a job that gives me more time for my family. This is a relevant goal for somebody whose goal is to spend time with the family. So when you're setting the goal for this organization that you are working to inaugurate now, ask yourself, the relevance of each target that you set. And finally, it must be time bound. Goals must have an urgency to them. Otherwise, they'll become lofty dreams and fly off without us realizing them. When will it be done? But even better, why don't you set smarter goals? So set the SMART goal, but I encourage you to add an ER. The E is for evaluation and the R is for reward. This motivates sustained performance. So as you achieve your goal, either in your personal life, in your professional pursuits, or in this organization that you have set up, find ways of evaluating, have KPIs to them, evaluate and reward executives, leaders, members, partners who are excelling and helping the organization reach its overall objective. So I want to segue into strategic planning. What is strategic planning? It is an organization's process of defining a strategy or direction and making decisions on allocating resources to attain those strategic goals. So define the process, define the strategy, define the direction, then allocate resources in order to achieve the goal. The purpose is to set overall goals and develop a plan to achieve them. Every strategic plan has certain key hallmarks, and that's what makes them a strategic plan. It differentiates what a tactical plan, an operational plan, or a specific marketing plan is. So what would be the hallmark of a strategic plan? A strategic plan is long-term. That's why it's called strategic. It is not an immediate, within a year achievable or within 1 to 3 years. It's long-term. It goes 3 years to 5 years, and even some more than 5 years. And then it has a focus. The focus is the vision and direction of WULI Africa. So that is what the strategy involves. What is our direction? We already have a vision that is clearly articulated on your website. What is the direction that we want to move with the organization to? And then the strategic plan must have a scope. And the scope for a strategic plan is it covers the entire organization. So a marketing plan, for instance, will not encompass the entire organization. It will be limited to some aspects of the organization. A financial plan would do same, etc. But a strategic plan would embrace all of those areas: marketing, financial, operational, everything in. So it's a whole organizational design. And then the level is high level. It looks at broad goals because we don't want to strip it down so that it becomes a tactical plan. And those involved are those in top leadership. So this board that is being constituted, country leaders, etc. Those at the very high level make strategic plans. What is the features of a strategic plan? It would look at the organizational ethos, who and what we represent. So that really speaks about your vision, your mission, your core values. What is the vision? Is what we want to see with WULI Africa. That is the vision. What in many years from now, when we have arrived at that destination, what do we want to see that WULI Africa is? And the mission would be, what are we going to do in order to see what we want to see with WULI Africa? So the mission is more of what are we doing? The vision is who are we? And then our core values, what we represent. And then it must also have a business design. This is the operational and the competitive advantage analysis. So I'm very certain that all of you are also familiar with the SWOT analysis, etc., etc. All of these come into your competitive advantage discussion and operational plan. And lastly, it must have an execution and evaluation plan where you are monitoring and tracking for results. So I'm also sharing with you a few considerations for competitive advantage. How do you position any organization to have a competitive advantage? The considerations, number one, will be your market focus. There may be several other women leadership organizations. And so being focused means understanding what your market is. Who is your target? What is your market share? What segment of the population are you targeting? And for you, your target is clear. The focus is on women, women in insurance. So, and I think also from your vision, you are not just limited to purely insurance. Anyone in finance related organization. So this would be your focus. When you are able to define clearly who your target is, then your strategy will be developed around that. It enables you focus clearly on who this woman, this leading lady is, and how do we get her to be part of this movement? How do we make our movement more attractive for them to join? And that question is differentiation. There may be also other leadership organizations for offering development, leadership development, career development, etc. for women in insurance. So how do we differentiate ourselves? What are we going to do to stand out so that everyone, WILI Africa becomes like the ish thing. Everyone wants to join. What would differentiate us? What is the product that we are offering? What is how is our operations looking like? What are we providing? What is the support? What is the quality of it, etc.? All of those would speak about how we are well differentiated, the unique selling proposition. And then the cost or the investment. How much does it cost to be a part of this movement? Cost is not just financial, cost also is with time. If we are targeting busy professionals, what it also means is that we need to be sensitive to the way that we design our programs, and also the time when we hold them, so that people can plan effectively towards them. So the notice would go in advance, or there's even an annual calendar that people know this is, and then they can also plan themselves to that. But what is the fiscal cost? What is the time cost? What is even the emotional investment? And what would they be gaining from this at the end of the day? So sharing with you some steps that you undertake in strategic planning, and then afterwards, I have a few slides on my own attempt at trying to design a high-level strategic framework for WILI Africa. And at that point, I probably would also invite your way in on what I designed. But what would be the steps if you are working on a strategic plan to ensure that WILI Africa becomes a preferred brand and a recognized worldwide leader in providing leadership or career development for women how do we go about this? So first I say define the vision. And as I said, I've gone through your documents, your website. This is clearly articulated and the vision is laser focused. Establish the values. Describe your product. So this is where you are now telling us about what you are offering mentorship for your members, offering the leadership series on a monthly basis. Even for those who are more senior, you're providing them an opportunity to be mentors. And then there is a fellowship track. So all of these are products that you are offering your members to enable them grow and develop in their organization. Then you need to analyze the markets. So you do your market segmentation, your competitors, identify your strength, weaknesses, the opportunities and threats that are around. And then you can now design goals to ensure that you survive in that ecosystem. And when you develop the goals, you develop a strategy to enable the goal come into action. Then outline the actions. This is my strategy. So what am I going to do? How does this look like? And then bring in resources, people, skills, who is going to do what, when is it going to be done? And most importantly, like I said, ensure that you put in a metric system that enables you to measure, evaluate what you are doing. So you review and revise the plan from time to time to enable you achieve it. If you're designing a strategic plan, there are some areas that are of real importance for you to focus on. Areas of strategic focus. Number one is marketing and publicity. Your organization, you have to put your organization out there, because once you start, it is in your bedroom, it is in your office, it is in your car, it is in your own space. But if people need to buy in, then it has to go out there. So how are you engaging media? How are you promoting the organization? So marketing, promotion, publicity is a very important consideration when you are planning to grow an organization. And then there's the issue of operational sustainability. How do we keep this thing that we have started? How do we keep it going? And I call that the KPIs. The operational sustainability really involves, when I say KPI, I mean, how do you keep people involved? KPI. How do you keep people interested? KPI. How do you keep people involved, interested, inspired? How do you keep people included? So when you are designing your program content in your office, always ask yourself, is there enough in here for somebody who joins the organization to want to stay with us? And do we also have good structures enough to maintain the people that we are attracting to for mentoring and for career development? Are we putting in enough resources? Are we giving them the best of quality? So for instance, your training sessions, you must have and attract the best in the industry, or if it's not even an industry related topic, somebody who has the credibility, who has the competence to deliver that presentation. So operational sustainability, I say, design what will keep people interested, people involved, people inspired, and people included in what you are doing. And certainly there's the issue of financial viability. If the business is not doing well, you'll struggle. Every business, whether not for profit or for profit, needs to have a financial sustainability plan, without which you would run out of steam. And every dream requires sacrifices. So in the initial, it takes the sacrifices of the vision bearer, and having worked with Sheila a lot on this, I know she's invested a lot into this. But beyond getting the dream to survive the incubation stage, which is where the dream is hidden and is private and is being nursed by a vision bearer, it must also have the support of others and those who the Lord brings into to support the realization of the vision. And all of those people are also expected to pitch in. And then we can now look at where else can we get funding from? Of course, for those who enroll, if they're getting something of value, something that they identify as quality, you should be able to make contributions towards it as subscriptions or as their own investments or support. Then, of course, there are organizations that might be interested in supporting the activities that you are promoting. So really have spent some time today reflecting on how you are putting your brand out there to ensure that in the next 5 years, you would be represented in every country across Africa, but also operationally, you're sustainable and resilient in that people come in, they would at least be able to stay in the organization because there are enough offers for them, and we have a inbuilt system that ensures that everyone is kept engaged, and that needs to happen for sustained interest, and then have a way to attract funding and finances. I want to end with a sample strategic framework. I'm not calling this a plan, but it's just a framework. So from your strategic plan, you would always have key pillars that you are working on. And I've framed something and want us to have a conversation around it, for instance. So We Africa's mission is to create an inclusive space where members can build meaningful, long-lasting relationships, develop their leadership skills, and drive positive change in the industry. And the vision is to be the leading networking and leadership development platform for mid-career professionals in the insurance, risk management, sustainability, and ESG fields. So this is the vision that when we have executed the mission, what we want to see is that this organization will be a leading brand and one that is recognized for the work that it's doing with mid-career female professionals. So what did I look at as my strategic pillars? What would be the things that I'm working around to anchor this 3 to 5 year strategic vision? I would focus on equipping country leaders. Everything begins with and rises and falls on leadership. And leadership matters. Every dream needs a team. As John Maxwell would say, every dream needs a team. If you have a great dream but an average team, what you have is a big dream. And if you have a great dream and a bad team, what you have is a nightmare. So if We Africa is going to thrive, you need to build and invest in the capacity of the leaders on the board and in the countries. And I'm glad that as I see from the documents that you shared, that the fellowship program is in the first year is going to begin with those in leadership, and that's the way to go. So equip country leaders, invest in making them more efficient, and then 2, deepen country presence. If you're going to build a sustainable continent-wide organization, it will be easier if it's built from the roots, so that each country is running and thriving. So we don't just have a global meeting where we all attend, but when we are not in global sessions, at the country level, we also have our own engagements. That's what is going to make people feel relevant, because, I mean, stretch can continental meeting. That's about. Generally, people also want to belong, be seen, be given opportunities. And once we can decentralize and break it down so they are contributing in their own spaces, in their own country, there's always something relevant for people to do. So let's not focus on building at the top, but while we build this continent-wide presence, let's also ensure that there is country deep activity or presence that is going on. And it will be able to achieve that when we equip the leaders. And then let's develop sustainable financing. I can't emphasize this anymore. You as founding members, founding directors, etc., will be making investments of your time. In fact, in the initial stages, you'll be happy to make investments of your own money. However, at a certain point, you begin to count the cost. And if there isn't funding to drive this, the work will not travel very far. And also look at expand the continental influence. So design programs that put Blee Africa on the map, that is recognized in the industry. When you talk about leadership development programs around the world, some names come up. Ashpen, there's the Harvard Institute, there are lots of them. Tutu Fellowship in Africa, there's quite a number of prominent brands that are recognized. And you have a product that also competes in that space. And I believe that you can position your fellowship, the WLIF Fellowship, to be one of those in the not too distant future. Then consolidate a global appeal. I broke it down into some detail, trying to do a sketch work, but equipping country leaders means monthly trainings, means supporting these leaders with manuals. How do they start the organization? How do they operate it? How do they, what is their membership development plan when they meet, etc. Just empower them, give them the tools to succeed, and assist them develop strategies. So at the board level, you are really engaging country leaders and finding out what their challenges are and how they can surmount them. Then when you're looking at deepening country presence, you're looking at having boards. Each country has a leadership team or an advisory board that is also supporting the work there. Executive leadership teams, how are they recruiting members to join? What is their plan for growth? If they have 5 members today, what is their strategy to attract more and grow? And then 3, the develop sustainable finances. Look at partners. There's some activities, some trainings that you can find partners whose vision is tied with that, and they will be willing to execute some part of it at no cost because it also forwards their vision, or for maybe a display of their logo or something of the sort. And then your programs, are there any that you can offer for a fee or a contribution of a sort? And then there also needs to be some design at some point where you are sending financial support to countries that are now starting up, because in some countries you would have an easy takeoff. In other places it might be 1 or 2 people, and the central organization must be able to say, well, in your first 6 months of operations, we have this package to enable you to registration, to do regularize the business, to keep it compliant with whatever. But we expect that thereafter you should be up and running. But this will not be immediate things. These are things that in 3 to 5 years that you must be thinking of, especially when you want to be in every country in Africa. There's some places that the leaders you find there may not be well-to-do to set up their own agency and may need support from the central body. A financial and funding plan, your proposals to insurance companies, to financial companies, to even development organizations that are interested in female empowerment. You have clearly identified some SDG goals that really satisfies. Are you able to put together a proposal to any of the UN agencies that will be happy to sponsor the fellowship program or the leadership series that you run, and expand continental influence? When you have now developed sustainable finances, what you now need to do is expand that influence. So let some of your programs become flagship programs, your fellowship program particularly, branded, publicized, it gets some key directors, or what do I call them? People who are astute in program content development and facilitation to deliver on the content, so that when people leave the fellowship, they become ambassadors of the fellowship, and then they let others know how enriching the session is. Then it now makes even the entry competitive. The more entry is competitive, the more you are able to select the cream in the space. And when these people go out there and accomplish their great things, you can also identify them as leaf fellows, and that would be a plus for the organization. So position the organization well, strike key partnerships, organizations that have good names, good leverage. If you're doing work with MasterCard, Comfort, other organizations that really have credibility in the space, it would be good for the brand. So think about that. And then finally, consolidate a global appeal. Although your goal is to be a continent-focused organization, it should be able to rise to have a global appeal. We're working in Africa, yet we are recognized around the world. How do we do that? You, at a certain point, would now, for operational efficiency, need to begin thinking regional divisions for you have a West Africa, you have a North Africa group, you have a East Africa and a Southern Africa and a Central Africa. However you do the division, so that you're introducing a certain layered approach that enables people in the same geographic space engage, so that there is every year there's a conference for those in the zone, Southern Africa conference, and that is, it might be easier to execute because they're all in the same time zone. So if they schedule the meeting for 3 p.m. Or 5 p.m., it's everyone has closed and it's after work kind of thing. Or even if they say let's travel, the cost is lower. And then perhaps you do beyond the regional, then you can look at every 2 years or 3 years, we'll do a whole group in-person conference and things like that. Find ways of improving operational efficiency by layering, and then develop social impact projects. Obviously, if you are doing things to improve yourself, the evidence would be that those things will show outside. So demand of your people who come for the fellowship programs that everyone must execute a project after their fellowship. It must actually be a requirement for acceptance into the fellowship, And when you're in the fellowship, you have to present on what community impact projects are you going to be doing. If We Africa is going to get far, then it needs apostles that would send this message and its image and brand around, because you can't be everywhere, but your people can be everywhere. Social impact projects might be very useful. Then partner global missions, organizations that are doing things in the women development space, supporting, they might not be even in SDGs, but if they're just ESGs, even if they're just some market women who you are providing support for them to file their taxes, understand their finances, etc. All of those might be helpful. And then develop products. So come up with a manual that says a market woman's guide to filing or understanding insurance, etc. There must be a product that you put on the market that all people outside the organization or in the organization can benefit from. These are long-term strategic things, and you can then plan to do them around 3 to 5 years. So year 1, what are we doing? Year 2, what are we doing? 3, 4, 5, what are we doing? Ladies and gentlemen, I think that brings me to my final point, which is a note for reflection, that there are people come into organizations for their missions, but they would leave because of kind of management that is practiced. So if you're going to keep really running well, everything rises and falls on you as leaders. I have identified that there are 3 kinds of organizational strategies. Number 1 is the one that makes things happen. Number 2, the one that things happen to. In the organization, the organization is working, but they're not in control of anything. The things are just happening to them. What is even more dangerous is the 3rd kind, where where leaders in the organization don't even know what happened. I pray that you be good stewards of this gift that God has given you to bless mid-level career professionals in insurance, ESG, and allied spaces. And you would do this to the glory of God. The ball is in your court. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Frimpong. Like, I am overwhelmed right now. So, like, this has been such an insightful session, and you've practically set our goals for us. And all this is pro bono. So we just want to say a very, very big thank you to you. In fact, from the strategic framework that you gave us to even the areas that we should be focusing on, to even breaking it down to now come down to really Africa and actually giving us a plan. We are so grateful to you, because this would have taken years or months of planning to do. But basically, you've given us a plan to run with. And we want to say thank you. I will pause here so that if anyone has any questions, Yes, Sharon wants to talk. Right, okay, I think that was probably a mistake. So if anyone has any suggestions, contributions, questions,
Yeah.
Yes, Amma.
Did you say it's pro bono?
Yes.
Wow. Wow, Coach, God bless you. In fact, I just established the company in my head as you were speaking. Hey, this is so detailed. I mean, you've just drawn the framework for us. We are so grateful to you. Thank you very, very much. Wow. Sheila, this can't be pro bono. At least let's do something, okay?
We'll do some. We have to do something. But my
Yes, you have to
is
do
very high
something.
level.
Yeah, you have to do something because you blessed that. You've given us your all. And we are grateful because, like Sheila mentioned, this could have taken us another strategic session to draw up a plan, but you have virtually given us the plan that we should work with. So thank you very, very much.
My
Sheila,
pleasure.
please do all and share the slides with us, okay? It's for keeps.
Yes, please.
I mean,
yes, please.
the part said keep people interested, keep people inspired. And the first one was keep people
Involved.
There were 3 I's.
Four
Involved. Okay, good.
Inspired,
I
involved,
have it.
interested.
Good. So now that's how I'm going to measure my performance, even at work. I'm going to measure it with these 3: involved,
I think
inspired,
the last one was included.
Included. That is included is the involved, inspired, and then interested. Thank you very, very much. You've learned a lot. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Esme is saying I agree. Esme. Unmute and say thank you. That I agree. We don't actually.
I'm trying so that you don't get any feedback. That's why I've been muted most of the time.
We like having babies in our meetings.
Yes, it was really good. Actually said I liked how it was more specific and tailor-made to us in the end, and we are very grateful. And the I agree part was that, yes, I think we need to do something. This can't just be pro bono.
Yeah. Thank you. So Doc, a lot of our people are mothers, so that's why most of us are muted, because we have our babies, our future commissioners and future AIO presidents in the meeting with us, and future strategists. As you've given us everything. This day we can use it for almost every business. Like, in fact, for every business. I'm so excited right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it turned out well, because you know that I had to start this last night.
Yes.
Wow. Wow, that even makes it more serious.
I see,
wow.
Our fellow, he's a Tutu fellow. He's very high level, and he works on projects funded by, I think there's one funded by Gates Foundation. So this is something he's been doing for over 10 years. If you know the Hard Group, he's actually, I think, one of the, I don't know whether it's a national or it's a
regional CEOs.
Yes.
He's one of the
Africa CEO.
In Africa.
Yeah, is it a Yao? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
I think
you've met Yao.
I've heard of the Yao.
Yao Pebi, yes. Yao Pebi is my global.
The Pear Cups books, something. It has something to do with books and helping kids on the special need to read.
One of their businesses, yes.
Nice. Yeah, because the face even looks very familiar. I'm sure I've seen you on some flyers. Some flyers with Kofi. Kofi is my colleague. My colleague? Kofi Ukusao.
Oh, you don't say.
Yes. So I'm sure I saw your picture because the face really looked familiar. Now I was connecting you to whether I know you from church or something, but I think I now know where I know you from.
Pleasure.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.
I wish you fruitful deliberations, and God has given you a charge to keep. I pray that you would pursue the call with the highest level of commitment and creativity, and he would pour his blessings.
Exactly.
I believe strongly that 3 to 5 years from now, you look back and say that it was a blessing to have begun this mission. So may many lives be touched, and may it as you seek to transform others, may that transformation begin from your own hearts and your homes. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Doc. And
Bye-bye.
I think you are now our official strategist and consultant. So like you said, we'll go and get our financing together so that we can come back to you. But thank you so much for doing this for us. We really, really appreciate it. Like,
My pleasure.
me right now, I'm okay. Yes, we are very good. Okay, bye-bye. So that was Dr. William Ochifrimpong. I think the work he's done for us now, it's just left us to plug it in, but he's practically done everything. So once we receive the slide, we have a framework to work with now. And the good thing is even beyond the slides, he was speaking as well. So maybe that one, our admin team will help us to plug in the things he was actually saying into so that we have an even bigger framework, because our examples he was giving that will not be in the slides.
Yeah.
But now going forward, we have at least the pillars for the strategy. We know that we have to equip our country leaders, deepen our country presence, that's building from the roots, developing sustainable financing, expanding our continental influence, and consolidating our global appeal. Then he went on to even say the ways that we can equip our country leaders, including having manuals, so I think this is something that is very timely. It's good that we had him here and not 4 years down the line. So for us, people have done it before. He's part of the CEOs in Africa for Hard Group. And because he has seen this before and they have a very good working model, working with us, I think we will go very far. And I must say that he's also he was very influential in developing our fellowship, which I think we'll talk about in the course of this. It looks like we've overrun our time. So I'll just go straight to the rest of it, because I know most of us blocked 3 hours, and it looks like the 3 hours is actually up. So if you can, I can just crave your indulgence for maybe 30 minutes. The rest of the slide is not going to be a lot of talking.
Go ahead, Sheila.
I'll spend 15 minutes and then maybe we can have the open forum. And as we share the other material, we have our inauguration, things will come up. And now we have our committees as well, so we can work a bit better. So let me just go on to our presentation. A lot has been said already, so we've already had our corporate governance presentation. We've had the team building activity. Maybe we can skip it for now. We've had our strategic goal setting and strategic planning, and then now we are going to talk about long and short-term objectives. So our short-term objectives are the 1 year objectives. That's growing membership, increasing visibility, regional expansion, then collaboration with other partners such as the insurance organizations, agencies within the insurance space, and agencies within the women empowerment space, and even collaboration with other bodies such also like the professional bodies within our organizations like YIPS as well. And then we are also thinking about a lot of professional development for our members and for ourselves. Then when it comes to the longer term objectives, that's 3 to 5 years and beyond, we are looking at having influence within the industry, having a global network like Doc touched on, having educational initiatives and flagship programs, having a leadership pipeline such that now if people want to hire for a role in insurance, they will write to us and ask us that this is the role we are advertising. Do you have anyone that you can recommend? And we can recommend our members and our directors for those roles. And also having a sustainable impact, because we are looking at ESG and we even linked our goals to SDGs. So we have to have an impact that's sustainable. Doc mentioned something that I think is a brilliant idea. He was talking about maybe having a market guide, a market woman
guide for women. Yes, women,
yes.
Market women guide, insurance guide.
Exactly. We can have an insurance guide for SMEs, like basically things that will make us live beyond just ourselves, because it's when you do those
Yeah.
things that you get funded. So I also mentioned that they were going to be smart. I think in a way we're aligning, because I also did this night this morning. So maybe as he was doing his, I was also doing mine, and perhaps we just aligned virtually to talk about practically the same thing. So this is about membership growth and engagement. He spoke about making our members feeling included, involved, inspired. There was one last thing. But basically,
Included, inspired, yeah, and then interested.
Interested, yes. So it's about regular communication, having personalized outreach, because sometimes you have to reach out to a member if you haven't heard from them in a while, just to touch base with them, having member surveys that we can use to identify if things have changed with their needs, or they still have the same needs that they came into the platform with. Having online forums where we can just have countrywide forums, people can just come have discussions on certain things. And it doesn't always even have to be about insurance. Sometimes women can come together. We talk about our specific needs as women, maybe, or we are talking about how we are balancing our work with our personal lives and other things, but basically having a community where we can have open discussions, events and webinars. That's something that so far we've done well with, and we've seen that they receive a lot of traction. Every time we have an online event, once we have someone's face, it gives us a lot of traction. So in the course of time, we'll be actually asking different people to come on board as hosts and hostesses and moderators to be. So if you're interested, just hit me up. Our next leadership series, we can have one of you hosting it for us. And that's how we can get to really spread the word and amplify our reach across the nations. Also, we have to recognize and appreciate our members. So if we have people within our organization, maybe within a certain country, and then they've landed a new role, or they've received awards, they are doing good things, great things within the insurance market, they've charted, stuff like that. It's stuff that we can publish on our website. We can publish it through social media. We can just design small flyers. It sort of, once we are appreciating people, they feel like they are part of a community that wants them to develop and is helping them develop. Also, we spoke about mentorship and networking opportunities for members, volunteer opportunities for members, because some people, maybe when we are having certain webinars or something, we can invite them. We are having programs in a certain region, we can invite them as volunteers, and it makes them feel a part of whatever we are doing. And it's also giving members exclusive content. People will not be motivated to be members if everything they have is available to the public. So we have to couch some exclusive content that we give to just our members. And as they get that, they feel like membership matters. Them doing member spotlights. That's something that over the past few months, if you've noticed, we did director spotlights. We spotlighted each of you. And I think we got very good engagement. LinkedIn wants to see the amazing women behind Really Africa, and we gave them that. We are going to do even more, where we ask you guys to come and talk to us about your inspiration, what inspires you, why you are in Really Africa. You all answered those questions. And through that, we are going to even amplify your stories even better, so that we have, first of all, we spotlight you, and then we spotlight our members as well. Another one is member-driven initiatives. Sometimes some of our members can have amazing ideas that we haven't even thought of. So by having very open lines of communication, if they have a smart idea, they come on board, we get them on board. Maybe they can even help to develop those concepts, so they feel like they're a part of us, and we are not, like, leadership is not distant from membership. And then finally, having a feedback loop where people come back to give us feedback on everything we do. So maybe we already do that after webinars. We send feedback for people to tell us, what did we do right? What didn't we do right? What did we get wrong? And then we try to improve on every single thing. So that's about membership and growth. Because we are hard pressed with time, I think what we haven't talked about is the region-specific presentations and the open forum. But if everyone could, we can just, if we think that there's anything that we can do following all the presentations that we've had today, please, the floor is open, whether it has to do with a specific country, whether it has to do with a specific region. We'll meet again we have not been having our monthly meetups, but right now that we have this document, we'll also put up together something from the admin side, and then we'll share with you, and then we can then build and develop our strategic plan that we can be moving forward with. So please, yeah, at the region specific, I don't think the word is presentation, region specific, maybe comments, and then open forum. So anything at all that we think is relevant to this discussion, please let's bring it up. Let's share, let's be interactive. I was hoping.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Sharon. I love it when you.
Sorry to cut you short.
No, it's fine. I love you. I love it when you speak.
Ah! I love it more when you speak.
So Sharon, please, the
Right,
floor is yours.
Thank you. So I just wanted to touch on what we learned on corporate governance and what we learned from DOC. And what I want to say is we need to be, from corporate governance, we need to be accountable, and we need to have discussions, not just discussions, but intense discussions, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we should be having this more often, even if it's not for 3 hours, maybe even for 30 minutes, and just discuss on something, just a topic, Sheila, and we touch on it and talk about it, not necessarily to do with but even to do with maybe we can talk about Ghana, what Ghana is going through, Kenya, the way the inflation rates. We should be able to have these discussions at on ground level, so that we also update each other on what is going on in our regions, and also we are accountable and we can relate more. Okay. And then on touching on strategy, we should always have strategic meetings and maybe reports from the regions and follow up on those reports, maybe quarterly, and then we see how it takes us.
Thank you very much, Sharon. I totally agree with you. I think the suggestion you've given, especially the catch-ups, that's how we really see we are a team. And to be honest, sometimes it's just to catch up and just talk. Because last time I think I spoke to Yara, and we were just talking about, that was our first call actually, and it was really just talking about how our countries are, the state of Africa, leadership in Africa, and it made us connect so much, because I saw that, wow, we just think alike, and we all really want the best for Africa. So I think I totally agree with you. And with Sharon, you there, I talk to you all the time, and most of the time we are talking about, oh, Sharon told me there's this course while you were doing the Agnes course, we're talking about ESGs and SDGs. Because sometimes we hear these things, but sometimes we don't even know what's really ESG. How does it connect to insurance? We can be having those monthly coffee chats. Maybe we'll have a name for it. And then we just chat.
I think it's just let be a chit chat, because as small as it is, we should not be maybe somebody does not know, and we cannot move as a team if one person is lagging behind.
Yeah.
As little as it is, we can share and we can grow each other in that way.
Yes, I totally agree. So please, we'll be having meetings, catch-up meetings. So please, Richmond, maybe you can note that. I've put it in the chat too. Do we have any other comments?
Sheila?
Yes. Who is it?
Amma.
Yes, please, Amma. Please
when are we supposed to have the luncheon?
The lunch was supposed to be this month, but we pushed everything back, because we pushed our what do you call it? We pushed this session backwards a bit, because we're not getting a good space, a good day. So now the lunch, maybe we have to decide. We're not too engaging, so it's difficult. We give our admin a very hard time when he's trying to get us to vote on things. But I don't know if this month will still be feasible. One of the reasons is that in Ghana, for instance, because of our we lost someone very prominent in the insurance industry, and because of that, even when it comes to certain organizations, like brokers, for instance, we are putting on hold all our plans. So if we are going to launch and invite brokers,
you wouldn't have the full house.
Yeah, we might not have that support that we need. So maybe we can look at some time in September. It will be an online, but in the meantime, if everyone can put together some names of people that they think we should be invited to the launch. Also, we are looking at getting patrons and getting an advisory board over this board. That's more people like maybe Patty, people like maybe Rose Wanda, people who have influence at the regional levels and at the Africa level. Even people if we even know global people that you think might be interested in what we are doing, not necessarily in insurance, but in the financial services space or in women empowerment, we can bring them on board as part of our patrons or as part of our oversight board, whichever they'll be interested in. We've put together some letters. So once you bring them in and you speak to them informally, because we don't want it to be just people Sheila knows. It has to be people that we all know, so that there'll be a lot of accountability. If not, it will be like it's 19 people playing, and that won't be right.
Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Sharon.
As regards to getting patrons, I'd like to say something.
Okay.
You see, when we are getting patrons, I'd rather get Rose Wanda and Patty and all those influential people to be our mentors.
Okay.
But when we want patrons, we want people like Doc. Or maybe I don't know Doc as much, but we want people who can touch the ground with us. We don't want people who are too overwhelmed doing other things such that they are not, we are only starting. And we need people who will scratch the ground with us until we, yeah. So I would prefer maybe we get other people for patronage. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Not that I don't. I'm not saying. So I'm just saying. I feel they are busy, too busy, and when you call someone right now, even to present like today, you might not find them. But we need someone who knows 100%. If I don't show up for these girls, hey, it's gonna be trouble.
Okay. Please, any comments?
Yeah.
I get where Sharon is coming from, because actually when I speak to YIP, sometimes they're like, oh, their patrons, to be honest, don't do anything because they are just not, they are too busy. That's the thing. So I totally get what Sharon is saying. These people are quite, yes. We need people who would really like go just walk with us and hold our hands and really be in the trenches with us, like Sharon is saying. So please, we can, if can anyone else comment on this? Sharon has got a question. Are we in?
Sheila, does it mean industry?
I think that as long as they think our course works, because insurance is very unlimited, that sometimes if we focus on just the industry, we might not be getting perspectives from other places. Good things like what corporate Eden was thinking about. We think alike in a way in the insurance industry. Yeah. So sometimes it's good to have a totally different person, especially maybe if you have someone who is maybe into the women's space. You have someone who is into like strategy coaching, as Doc has helped us with. We have someone who perhaps is in the ESG. Such people can actually help us with other programs that we might not have even thought of at all, because we are thinking insurance. Okay. So we can expand it a little bit more as long as they want to support us. All right. That's my thoughts. Please, healthy. What did Eden call it? She called it healthy something something. I don't know what it was. Healthy tension, healthy debate, diverse views, energy and momentum. Please, let's feel the energy a little bit. We have just 4 minutes to go. I know Esme and Jessie might not be able to speak right now. Isabel, if you can talk. Happy if you can say something, closing remarks. Bella James, not sure who Bella James is, but anyone who wants to give any closing remarks, it's an open forum, so. And it doesn't have to just do with this. If you think there's anything that we should be doing better that we haven't touched on at all, we are not doing too well, please let us know. In the meantime, whilst we are waiting for comments, I'll talk about the committee. So far, we have 3 committees. I added a last one, a governance committee that I put patrons there. And I think that it's important for us to have some oversight over us so that sometimes we also are also a bit accountable. And the committees that we shared were publicity and Amma, please, would you like to speak?
No, not now.
Okay, we shared publicity and communication, and we have Amma and Rukaya there. The terms of reference being shared. Learning, research, learning and development. We have Esme, Elizabeth, and Emma. The terms of reference, they have it. And then sponsorship and project, we have Iara, Jesse, and myself. Considering everything we've heard today, it might be possible we might change our committees a little bit. But then, as we already know that we've seen everyone's interest. So whatever we do, even if we change it a little bit, so that we get people to, because I think we might need a few more committees. Happy was not around when we're doing the committees, so I'm sure we can share everything with her and she can choose a committee. I think Cecilia is not also in any of the committees. Who else? Isabel is not in any of the committees. But over time, I'm sure when we share the committees, they will join. So if we don't have any other comments, it's 2:29. We've spent 2 hours, 30 minutes, almost 30 minutes. So if we don't have any other comments, please can we have someone say a prayer for us so that we log out and enjoy the rest of our weekend. If you guys are not talking, I'll nominate Richmond. I don't think we've heard you today. And you are the one who put together our minutes. So please, you can close this. In fact, Richmond, can we see your face? Because some of us don't know you. So if you can show us your face and say a prayer for us, we'll be very grateful. Richmond doesn't seem to be online. Please, would anyone like to volunteer to say a prayer for us?
Hi, Sheila, I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Please show us your face and close us out of the meeting. Thank you for staying throughout. That's if you can show us your face. If you can't, it's fine.
Oh, yeah, I can. Actually, I was just doing something.
Okay, so please.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Richmond.
Okay. Wow. This
Kindly
meeting.
pray us out of the meeting.
Okay, sure. I'd like to thank everyone for making it to today's meeting. We are very grateful to have you all on board, and we hope everything we have heard today, we are going to put it into practice, and we are going to make Really Africa a great place for women to be with. I'd like to say a prayer to end this meeting. Our Lord and Master Jesus, we thank you for a great day like today. Thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for everything you have done for us. We thank you for the wisdom you have blessed us with today. We are grateful for the knowledge we have heard today. As we go into our daily life, Father, we ask that you help us to implement everything we have learned. Help us to champion it for a good cause. Help us to help other women to be great in their careers and to be successful in anything they do. We know you have helped us all, Father. We are grateful for the gift of life you have blessed us with. Take control over anything we do within this week and the weeks ahead. Let your wisdom be impacted in us. This and many other blessings we ask through your Son, Jesus Christ. We pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very, very much,
Thank you,
Richmond.
Sheila.
And thank you, everyone, for making it today. We know that it's a big sacrifice, not just today, but every single meeting that you sat in, even chatting on the WhatsApp page, or even being involved in Really Africa, sharing content, every single effort that everyone puts into it. I just want to say that we appreciate you very much, and we thank you for coming. We are hope we put our best foot forward, and as we help, and we'll get everything that we need from this involvement with Really Africa. And I'm just once again saying thank you to all of you for spending your afternoon with us, and in some cases your evening. But we hope that you've learned a lot and you've been inspired. And in the course of the week, we'll be sharing everything from the content that's of the trainings that we received, as well as the documents that we have put together based on today's training. And we'll be calling on some of you to help us, especially those on a committee level. If there's any part that we think that you can plug in from the committee that you are in, call on you so you can plug in. But let's just all enjoy the rest of our weekend, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Sheila. Do have a blessed evening.
You too, Amma.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you very much.
Happy. Sharon, Esme, Jessie, Isabel, Richmond. Thank all of you. Amma, happy. Thank you.
Thank you to Sheila.
Bye.